I've had two separate requests this week to focus on building on the Greenbelt, one at Grenoside, one at Handsworth. Now, it's easy for me to do Handsworth because I drive back through Handsworth every Saturday, but the same applies to Grenoside. So before I go on the ground at Handsworth at Beaver Hill Road, I'm going to do a bit of an intro on it. So we've got 3,529 houses across Sheffield Greenbelt, and there's going to be 3 schools and 2 graveyards. Now, I'm not sure why in this day and age we're putting people in the ground. I think we should all be cremated, and I won't say anything more on it. But let's focus on Handsworth. Now, I went along to look at Beaver Hill Road to Bramley Lane and Richworth Road, but also found out about Finchwell Road to the east as well. So it's 868 homes at Beaver Hill and 770 homes at Finchwell Road, taking you down to Waverley. So let's look at an aerial view before I get onto the ground. So this is the fire training centre, and there's a load of green space behind it which is safe as far as I know, and that takes you down to Woodhouse. Now, you've got a bit of wooded area here and a bit of wood here. I'm guessing this is safe, but this takes you across to Richworth and Bramley Lane. So I'm guessing it'll be this fielded area here that they'll be building on. It's an awful lot of breathing space, isn't it, folks? But let's go down to the other one. So from Finchwell Road here down to Waverley here, it's going to be this green area, I'm guessing, all this area possibly. So it's pretty tragic, really, folks. So what I'll do is I'll get down to the ground at Beaver Hill Road and let's have a walk around and look at the beautiful area around there. What we need to save, our pleasant land. I thought I'd film this sign on Beaver Hill Road, and this couple came up to me and said I'm behaving suspiciously. But he gave me a chance to have a chat with them, talk to them about it. So with one side of the fire training centre for South Yorkshire Fire Brigade, some of it's open countryside. I think some of it's the training facilities on the right hand side. Looks like that to me anyway. So I spent the first 2 years of my life down at Woodhouse on Osford Road before my parents moved out to Anston in '66. But the issue we've got is mass immigration. It started in 1948 to drive down wages. We were told it was to rebuild the country, but it wasn't. And then in '98, things got even worse under Tony Blair when he allowed Eastern Europe to come to the UK. And since '98, we've seen our population increase by about 10 million people. I think we've got something like 1.2 million illegals on top of that as well. Could be even worse than that, because I think the population is much higher than 64 million. So outside the fire training facilities, it looks beautiful round here. It's real breathing space for people who live in this area of Sheffield. I just want to really show you on the ground what it was like. Very pleasant. So this is another route on the other side of the training facilities down to Woodhouse. So I think it's been cleaned up since my parents left in '66. The reason why, they had a stream running through the garden, but it used to attract rats, and that got piped in just after they left. And I'm suspecting this area of land may have been not so good in the past, but it looks absolutely beautiful now. I was so shocked when I came back to Woodhouse one day. Where I've moved to Anston has got so built up, and I just couldn't believe, to say this was Sheffield, how green it still was around Woodhouse. It's something that people really need to fight for. So we're down at Shercliffe Woods here. I think they're pretty safe, as I said on the intro. But it's really giving an appreciation, looking back up Beaver Hill Road towards Handsworth. It's not so easy dubbing over once you get home, but I felt that I could put the message through better, sitting back and thinking about it at home. So we're walking onto the fields where they're going to be building houses. So we're looking back towards the training centre then, and then right in the distance, just over here, you can see St Mary's Church at Handsworth, where I was christened. Both my grandparents lived there all their married life. My parents come from Handsworth. I also had 6 years at Bayton when I had my first house there. So we're on this beautiful open countryside. We're only 60% food efficient in the UK. So really we can't afford any more people in the UK until we get food efficiency up to 100%. The other issue we've got is since mass immigration, it's driven down wages, but it's reduced the GDP per head. So my background was process control in the steel industry, but also IT in a bank. Now, after having my own business and then having to work in warehouses to make ends meet, I couldn't believe how backward the warehouses were, how inefficient they were, just throwing labour at it rather than increasing productivity. So the issue we've got now is we've got an extra 10 million people at least in the UK, so they have to house them. So more and more people are being pushed out of the town centres into the countryside. Some of it because they don't want to live in the multicultural areas, and some of it is down to the sheer number of people. Look at London, with the cost of the rents down in London. But we're building a lot of the wrong types of houses. We need more 1 and 2 bedroom houses. If we could build more 1 and 2 bedroom houses, we can free up more houses for families. So what people have got to do is you've got to stop this. You've got to have petitions locally, and you've got to come together collectively across Sheffield. But the issue is, unless we stop immigration, it's got to be stopped dead for at least 10 years so that we can sort out the issues we've had. People have got to stop coming thinking they're going to get a much easier life in the UK at the expense of the British folk who are already here. I think a lot of the people who have been immigrants in the past are now really realising the issue. They came to escape things in their own country, and now they're seeing issues in the UK. So unless we stop this mass influx of people, the building on our Greenbelt is going to get worse and worse. It's probably going to get worse and worse because there's an even bigger backlog and they'll keep pushing out. So whatever you carry on voting for Labour, Liberal and Green, you're causing your own issues. Whether you get called racist or not, tough, that's all I say. It's time we put the people who are now in the UK first. We need to increase the actual GDP per head. And by doing that, we don't need more people coming in. They say that we need more people coming in because people are getting older. They've been saying that since, probably since 1948, probably. But the problem is, those people get old. The birth rates of people coming into the UK are far higher than the birth rates of the indigenous people as well. So rather than dealing with the issue of becoming more efficient, so you need less people producing the same amount of goods, they throw people at it who have a higher birth rate, who then get old. So we have a major issue. Somebody's got to get a handle on this, that we need to become a more sustainable economy We need higher wealth for each of us as individuals, because we've got people pulling our strings from above who see us as a resource, especially the people in the government. So we need change. I'm not 100% sure about reform, but it's our only option at the moment. And reform seems to be dealing with the issues of immigration, but not also that on a fairer society with the democracy side of things. Now, there could be controlled opposition again, but, you know, like, we've got to give them a chance until somebody else comes along. I personally like George Galloway better, but I doubt very much whether he'll get the numbers to actually make any changes in the UK. So really, folks, what's your view on it all? What can be done about it? We have to stop the immigration first, and then we've got to deal with all the social issues on top of it. So that's it, over and out from Handsworth in Sheffield.